This time we'll call the Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Jackson County Board of Supervisors to order. Larry McDevitt, Mike Steinis, and myself, Jack Lee, the supervisors. We have Lisa Smith and Bjorn Beck, county auditor, and our cameraman, and Luann Goki, our administrative assistant. And David Dreyer is our first appointment. So good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Short agenda. First item is a right-of-way utility permit for Windstream Communications. We work in Richland Township. They're replacing the temporary drop to the WMH Swain Company. Recommend the approval of that.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the utility permit for Windstream Communications. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
And then we got the contract for signature for 21-22 gas and diesel. We reviewed that previously. For the buying almost 120,000 gallons of 135,000 gallons of gas, diesel, and winter fuel blend diesel. So we recommend approval of that.
And was there two different contracts or just one?
It's just one for the and both with River Valley.
Both of them in River Valley. I would move to approve them contracts as presented.
Motion and a second to approve the fuel contracts with River Valley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
That's the only items I have. We have claims this meeting for near $500,000 worth of work completed. That's the Y61 patching, which is complete for about $300,000. $53,000 for the paving of the 700 feet of Leisure Lake and about $150,000 worth of rock. So if you're having questions in that.
No, I mean, I think the road 561 looks pretty good. I mean, it's
You know,
a little rough yet, but that's the nature of the beast, being 50-some years old, but
I tell you, though, as many patches.
it's a start.
Too bad we just couldn't have done the whole thing over.
actually, when you look at the length of it, that was only 4% of the
Oh, really?
road.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
looks like there's
Because I heard that
When I seen
statement,
that-
and I wanted to see, well, how much did we really do? It's 4%.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When I seen that 500 and some number on that. Hell no.
Oh, a lot of work, a lot of
Yeah.
busy work on those.
Oh, yeah.
You had any calls on the public hearing for next week?
I have not. The other thing is that I forgot to put on the upcoming agenda, will be looking for an ordinance change to lower the speed limit on 395th on our segment there, just north of the resort, where the new bike path crossing is going in. Well,
Is the city pouring that sidewalk connection or is that,
City,
okay?
and they're gonna do the signs for the crossing and things.
And if I'm correct, did I see some kind of a little camera
Is,
machine sitting on 390? No,
Yeah, we had it out there as a counter that also was recording speed. So that was how we were able to make the recommendation for lowering the speed limit.
interesting. Have we had that machine before or that camera?
No,
before?
we purchased it,
Awesome.
so we could do, special counts and things where people say that the volumes are significantly higher. It's better for us to have the ability to do that than depending on the state.
Yeah,
They only roll through every, like 3 or 4 years doing counts, which they're doing up there now, but this still is a good thing to have. So you'll be able to get,
I think it's a smart purchase.
when I heard about it, I told about that. Yeah, I thought that was a great idea to move it around. You can move it that easy and if it works good.
you don't have to use the tubes, which the gravel eats up, which is why we went with the radar.
I also heard that didn't see a dump truck on that road all week.
Well, we're trying a couple versions out on 320, so we'll see.
Thanks, Dave.
Can I have a
Dave,
copy of that?
before you run off,
Sure.
That one, and just for the minute. Thank you.
at our conservation meeting, we talked about that intersection where you put the flasher light,
Mhm.
about taking that to a four-way stop at some point in time.
Well, there are criteria for that you essentially want to have balanced traffic volumes on all legs, so you generally have good compliance with that respect.
Okay,
And basically, there's some volume criteria that the feds would like you
okay,
to follow. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. There are stop signs out there that have been installed just through the activities of, city councils and things like that.
mhm,
But they are generally reasonable guidelines. Hurstville's high speed and things, so you gotta
okay.
be
Um,
cautious there.
one other thing, we were down at Driscoll's Island. You know where that's at?
No,
Okay,
I
Sebula. On the
that's what I
causeway,
know.
okay, on the causeway going in, do we ever get a road grader anywhere close to that?
I'd have to check.
I mean, it's just so full of potholes, it's like you drive through, there's bouncing back and forth. And
What Jones Island did you say?
just Driscoll.
Driscoll.
Yeah.
Right,
It's-
Roger will know where it is.
Is that on the
City.
north side of town there going out, or where, by the railroad tracks, or where's that at?
No, it's on the highway coming into town on the right,
There,
right in the middle of
I
As you
had
the.
come
that-
across the causeway coming.
right
It's
before
there on
you
your
hit the
right-hand side.
causeway, over by the railroad tracks.
There's a little island. Yeah, it used to be.
No,
It's past that?
People fish
It's
on
not
it.
Yeah. I mean, I know where that's at, yeah, they got, that's washboardy in there? The drive, the parking lot, the parking lot itself,
yeah.
really?
Right.
Well, see.
Well, it's when you come down, once you hit the bottom of the hill and you start across, looks like a bridge going to that city, it's on the right-hand side.
Water on both sides and
Yep.
a nice island.
I know I think that's the same one. We've had the gentleman call about that in the past. The trouble is that the road actually stops at a point where you wouldn't anticipate, and it becomes kind of a private
No, this
road.
isn't a road,
No,
it's
it ain't a road, just a parking lot.
just, it's a parking lot on an
Okay.
island, I mean, it's just a little,
It's a little circle.
it'd be like going around this courthouse.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll
And,
see.
but it's real, I mean, if you can't do it, we can probably get some gravel.
Do
hauled
they
out there
ever
and take
hit
a skid
the,
load out.
tourism center parking lot too? Do they ever hit that? No, I know they lighted it once.
We plowed it once,
Yeah.
just so that the caretaker could get in and check to make sure the furnace was running.
But I know that island's a long way from any gravel road too.
But they still have to come down 52 at that grader from some of them gravel roads up there north of.
64th Street comes down
Yeah.
north of town there.
Just check it out.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, if you can do it, fine, if not. figure out how to
And
do it.
then we can see who owns it, and then maybe they want us to do it at cost.
City owns it, county conservation maintains it.
Okay. A lot of their lots are in rough shape. All right.
Okay.
We need copies.
Okay, do we have any visitors or citizens that wish to address the board?
That's good.
If no one's waving their hands, so we'll move. Arnie isn't here. Luann, do you want to do your portion?
Yep.
Morning.
Morning. All right, calendar for this week. 6 o'clock tonight is the EMS and meeting with dispatch, talking about helicopter service via Zoom.
And I have a conflict, but I did talk to Michael Storm and they're gonna record that.
Okay.
On Wednesday, June 23rd at 12:30 is a 988 coalition meeting by Zoom for Jack. Also at 12:30 is an American Rescue Plan funds recipient compliance and reporting guidance webinar by Zoom for any of you that want to do that. Thursday, June 24th at 9 AM is an RPA meeting by Zoom for Jack and Larry. And sometime that afternoon is a Watershed Management Authority volunteer celebration and photo shoot in Monticello for Larry. And they're not sure if that's going to be from 2 to 4 or from 6 to 8.
Saw that, yeah.
I did suggest here that 2 to 4 were better for because then we can meet with the health board that night, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So I'm working on that.
So that is coinciding with the award that you got from the governor, correct?
That's
Mhm.
correct.
They want everybody that did the water sampling up there to take photographs, a group picture.
So you're trying to coordinate a Board of Health meeting this week?
Yes, I was looking, and she sent me her schedule, Lynn sent me her schedule as to what days she had off, and the 24th is one of the days she has off.
Just let Shelley know.
Oh, okay, sure. Friday, June 25th at 7 AM is a Macokota Leadership Team meeting for Larry. At 11 o'clock is the Watershed Management Authority's Camp Courageous project meeting by Zoom, also for Larry. And at noon that day is a Workforce Iowa office hours meeting by Zoom for Jack. Monday, June 28th at 4 PM is an Early Childhood Iowa Council meeting in DeWitt for Jack. And that will be Gwen's last meeting, correct?
Right.
7 o'clock Monday night is Together We Build meeting at the Farm Bureau office for Jack. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, June 29th at 9 AM. That afternoon at 2 o'clock is a Mississippi Valley Workforce CEO meeting in person in Muscatine or by Zoom for Jack. And at 6:30 that night is a special meeting for the Watershed Management Authority by Zoom for Larry. In business today, I am looking for a reappointment. We have two commissioners on the Veterans Affairs Commission whose terms are expiring. And we did not receive any applicants, any female applicants for those positions. So I am looking for a motion to reappoint Stephen Norfolk and Dorothy Wisted to new terms that will expire on June 30th, 2024.
I would move to reappoint as presented.
Second.
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad they're doing it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I also have two fireworks permits to be approved today. One is for our own Larry McDivitt for July the 4th, 2021. And the other one is for Brant Moore of 195th Street in Bellevue for June 26th, 2021.
And can we do them both at the same time?
Should we? be able to?
Yes,
I would move to approve fireworks permits as presented.
All right, I second that.
I will second
Okay, thank you.
it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
thank you. That's all I had this morning.
Okay, Lisa, do you wanna do your thing?
I can. This morning, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 15th, 2021 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carried.
I'm glad you're sitting down because I need a motion to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $730,830.74.
I would move to approve with the note what David said, have some cement work done, patching work, concrete work, had end of the year rock
Leisure.
invoices come in, Leisure
Lake
Lake
Road
to improvement.
Mhm. So,
A lot of work done.
Yeah.
I will second that.
a motion and a second to approve the claims. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Motion needed to approve the appointment from Attorney Sarah Davenport for Steve Kaler as the representative to the Compensation Board with this term starting July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve Steve Kaler's appointment to the compensation board. All those in favor? Motion carried.
Motion needed to approve resolution number 818-06-22-2021, moving $4,055 in appropriations from the general assistance to the Health Nurses Department for the CARES Act funding expenses as filed in resolution book 4, page 360.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the transfer. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Motion needed to approve resolution number 819-06-22-2021, moving $3,954 in appropriations from the IT department to the data processing and maintenance departments for postage and air conditioning cost overruns filed in resolution book 4, page 361.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is it working?
It is working.
Did we get this next door resolved somewhat, or what's the status?
Do you want to,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay, so here's what I can tell you is that I did contact Marty. I talked to him. I saw no point in calling a contractor to fix something that isn't an easy fix. So Marty and I talked, there's a potential what we're thinking about doing. He's going to be contacting a plumber, and we're thinking about taking and swapping some of the units that are downstairs in the basement that's currently not being used. And that, because we believe those are bigger units, that we think that this unit over here is undersized. So what we're trying to do is to move the bigger unit from the basement up to here and swap it. Hopefully that'll take care
So
of it.
are we talking mini splits here?
No,
No.
we're talking actual.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking at. We also know that for some reason that the water or the air temperature that's coming out of the unit is 10 degrees difference than the rest of the building. So we don't know if the line is plugged, but we're working on it. Marty is trying to get finished up across the hall. And so, got a lot of things going on, but he asked my permission if we could swap units, and I said, yes. So I did not call the.
Well, I think it's at least see if that makes a difference.
Well, you know what, and if the plumber tells us that that's not a good idea and it's not gonna work, then we have other issues. But at this point, I was trying to utilize, instead of calling someone and saying, well, there's not much we can do unless you do this. So we're gonna try that, for hopefully a minimal cost. Makes sense?
So these units, are they all on the same pump, or do each unit have a separate pump circulate?
I think they're all in the same pump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something got to be plugged up.
Well, that's at work. Like I said, the air temperature is about 10 degrees different.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're aware of it. We're working on it. No, it's not fixed yet.
Okay, at this time, we're joined by Arlene Schaaf, Jackson County Recorder.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Warren.
Can't believe your window isn't open all the way, letting all that fresh air in.
53 degrees out.
Oh, man, does it feel good though? I just wanted to update you on our window security project. The Windows Inn is working extremely well. We're so thankful and grateful for that customer area. Marty did a great job. It's amazing what he can pull off. So although there are a few lingering items that need to be done, so hopefully we can get Marty in there to finish those
Is
up
he
here
pushing the
soon.
enclosure on yet?
And then the other reason I'm here is right now we have this customer area. And the customers come in this door and they have this area. And the door into our office is locked, of course, so that the customers are just in here. So the door that's not within that customer area, we have left unlocked,
The one to the hallway.
the one to the hallway. so that abstractors, employees, surveyors can come in and out of that door. But we've had customers that still come in that door. Okay, so we've had to start to lock it. Which, if that door is not locked, it hangs open. It's not on right. So in order to lock it, we literally have to push it in, turn the crank to lock it. And from the outside, we have to shimmy it to get our key to work. Like right now, I couldn't get my key to lock it to come here. It wouldn't work, but luckily Amy came in, and so anyway. So that door does need to be fixed.
It's be adjusted, yeah. I
Yeah,
noticed the closure, when you look at our closure, you can see the arm is offset from the center of the closure. On that one is straight in the back, which is not on it right. So that's part of the problem.
part of the problem. And then when you look at the door, you can see there's more of a gap on the top than there is on the
And you can
bottom.
adjust
That's
it.
an exaggeration, but to make you.
It's enough where they don't line up. That's, you can adjust the hinges,
Yeah, so,
but it should be done.
so right now with the door being locked, county employees, abstractors, surveyors, bankers, whoever might come in to do their searches in our back room, which we have quite a few people that do that, have to come in the customer area. And then we have to get in or get up to let them in, okay, because that door is locked. We have made some adjustments to that. We hide a key for those that know where the key is so that they can unlock it, put the key back, and then come on in. What I would like to see is I would like, and I've asked for this over the years, patiently waited until it was hopefully my turn to get a fob on that door that needs to be adjusted. Bjorn got me a quote just for that door for the fob. I know the security committee presented getting a larger panel for the courthouse, which, as I understand, didn't continue any farther than here. I have not used my preservation line item this year. And I would propose for next year not to use it and let that money be put towards a larger panel, so that we can get a little more security for other offices if they so indeed want it. Otherwise, I want to use that line item to get a fob installed in my door.
So what are some of the other doors that we might add? I mean, if we're going to put a panel in, how many would we?
We've talked about doing a comprehensive courthouse plan, and the last bid we had was what, close to 70,000.
Wow.
So, you know, I mean, if we're gonna, and we've talked about this, if we're going to do this, I would suggest that we ditch the whole key system and go with fobs. But
We
that
talked
comes with
about
the
that in
price.
the security meeting of how, you know, when it started, I don't know how it started and what doors they picked to put them on. But apparently we didn't buy a panel big enough to what we were going to, what our vision was going forward. So now when you keep adding, you add two or however you do it, that ain't enough. That covers one door. So then you gotta add two more. And so I guess we were trying to come up with a vision of where we might be going. You know, talking with Lynn and talking with courthouse security and Bjorn. I guess, yeah, that's where we left it, up in the air. Where are we? What kind of money do we spend on it? And where do we go from here?
That was probably what, 2 or 3 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows what stuff is now? I don't know, but I know that that was our last estimate to do the courthouse was. And you know, we don't really need the basement really done. It's just the upstairs of the courthouse that would need to be done.
But didn't you do an estimate? Not, it's been more than 2 years ago, haven't you, for another panel that you presented here? Time gets away from me, but it hasn't been all that long, has it? A couple meetings ago, maybe?
Lynn might have presented, I have not.
Okay,
You mean, what we currently look at is what we're doing in the sheriff's office, you know, and what, you know, adding a panel here. I even hate this, So yesterday Marty came in and we were talking about projects that need to get done and I was trying to coordinate with him. And we were brainstorming. I hate to say it that way, but that's what we were doing and trying to. And one of the things that we talked about that we are going to consider, and maybe we need to look into, specifically for the sheriff's office, was the same kind of door lock that Marty has downstairs. That's the punch key,
Mhm.
that maybe we would try that over the sheriff's office. I don't know if that's something that would interest Arlene or not, in the inside door that she's talking about. And that way you'd have to punch in a number to get through the door. So we're gonna look
Inside door
into
or the
it.
hall door.
Hmm?
It could be on either door, couldn't it?
No, I don't think you can put it because the hall door doesn't have a doorknob.
Oh, okay.
So that's what Marty thought, that he had a doorknob with that kind of a lock that we were gonna try and use over in the sheriff's office.
That's something he can install.
Yes,
And is that something that can be programmed so that county employees can get in and out of that door during a certain time period? That's my concern. I
Well-
want all the employees to be able to come and go through that
but see, that
door.
would be in the inside, your inside door. Your inside door, not your exterior hallway door. It would be on your inside door, which you'd have control of because.
Yeah, okay.
So that was just an option that we thought about. And we don't know if it's gonna work or not. But Marty and I, and Bjorn was in on the discussion yesterday, so we'd like to at least explore that option instead of spending the money that we talked about last week over there.
Mhm.
My only concern with that in our office is that that area is now a customer area. So everybody would have to walk through the customers that are standing at the counter. And
It was my
Exit that way.
assumption that that's what you wanted when we put that counter in and that.
Amen.
was a customer area, yes,
Yeah.
with the intention of eventually getting a fob on that other door. That was
I didn't know
always
that.
my intention.
Oh, I
Well,
thought
at the sa-
everybody was coming through that door because you wanted to let them in there to take pictures.
And
For
that right?
passports, for
Yeah,
passports,
passports, yeah.
yes. But a fob has always, you haven't been at the security meetings, my intention has always been to have a fob on that other door. So. I mean, over the past year and a half, I think we've learned a lot. We have to be proactive. We don't know what's gonna happen.
So
Whether-
is there that amount of traffic that the abstractors and whoever needs to come in there can't walk through that passageway and through that locked door? No.
Well, they
They need to
can,
work.
but they shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have, how can I say this? We shouldn't have to expose ourselves and the county employees to that public area for safety precautions.
But you're not.
We would be, because that's the only door they can get in right now. So they come in with the public and everybody else.
But
To get
either
into
way, if
our
they come in
office.
the hallway door, you're still exposed to them. They're still in your office.
They don't come in the hallway door. They come in the door that comes into the
Yeah,
customer area.
yeah,
They walk through, they go
Yeah.
to that other locked door.
yeah.
And they have to fish for the key and let themselves through. They shouldn't have to walk through the public area. They should be able to, our office, we have open records. Abstractors, they should be able to come in and out as they please.
So what do you have for a sign on the door? You say something.
Oh, it's a big sign, recorder's office shoots next door.
They can go in your office and look at any book in there they want at any time. You don't have to allow them to do that.
Our office is public record. When you buy and
I
sell,
get it, but I'm just saying, they come in and ask you to look at it and you say, sure.
they don't even,
No, I don't like that.
they have, that's what the recorder's office is. When you buy and sell property abstracts, the abstract companies come in and search in order to update their
So do they
abstract.
look what book it's in and you don't have to tell them what book it's in or not like that?
Oh, they need help. Sometimes we always have to help. Genealogists have a right to come in, abstractors, surveyors do their searches. County employees come in to look at records, that sort of thing.
is the same key for both doors? Is the key the same?
Yes, but like today, I couldn't get mine to work. Yeah, so. Anyway,
Definitely need to get that adjusted.
and Bjorn got a quote for us just for my door, and I do have money in the budget to do that. And like I said, if you decide to do a panel or whatever, I would be willing to use that preservation fund from this year and next year that you guys can put towards that. So,
So just to do the one door, is that not adding a panel or what is that doing?
It adds 2 panels.
2 panels. What's the quote, please?
$3,320.
And how many doors would that do?
Just,
that
just
door.
this
Just
one.
that door.
She needs an exit button, which takes a panel, and then an entrance fob, which takes a panel.
Like,
And then
Be
Then-
like the treasurer's office door.
and then whoever she decides to give a fob to, they're like $6 a piece. So if she gives them to 10 people, it's an additional 60.
But they would pay for their own. If they wanted one.
They should.
Yes, absolutely. But it would only be a minimal amount of people, so.
So what's a 4-panel one cost?
Have to ask. I mean, I think it goes up to 8 panels is what it goes up to.
well, and that's what we talked about, you know, maybe we get the difference of it and say, hey, how many other doors do we need it on? Is
Are you talking
zoning
about
got
all-
one? No.
No, they do not.
Zoning does not. You do you have one?
We have one, this door across
Yeah.
from here is a fob, and then the other door is a key.
Human resource have one?
Yes, they have a fob door. Because of all of her, she has confidential records and
County attorney?
she does not. Oh, she does not.
Lounge, women's restroom,
Yeah,
engineers.
I mean,
this,
you're probably talking 20 doors. Oh, maybe a little high,
That's probably a little high.
maybe
Yeah, I would-
15.
To do the whole courthouse, you're saying. And we have a fob on one door up here that's, the office isn't even being used except for once in a
15 would
while.
cover it.
Probably.
Oh,
15 would
Ben's
cover it.
office.
Ben's office,
Could we
right?
switch that one? Make that a key one?
You can take the reader, but the wiring and all that, it's, because it goes, how it's wired back to the panel, you're gonna have to rewire it anyway. So you're better off just to leave it for future use. Price wise is what the guy told me. Otherwise, you're taking it all on wiring it, but you all did, already did.
I think 15 would cover it, if we chose to do the entire upstairs. Well, I suppose, yeah, even with the restrooms and such.
I guess I'd like to see that number.
I think we just
Well,
need to
keep in
study
mind
it
it
a little
was
further and get
70,000.
some information.
Well, keep in mind, it was 70,000
Or all, of them.
several years ago, so I'm,
But how many doors is that? We don't know. Do we know?
I don't remember, I'd have to look back to the old stuff.
Is it necessary on the bathroom? Do they
There's
have
well,
only
then you have a
inside lock?
fob and a key. I
There's
mean-
only one private bathroom.
Do they have a lock on the door?
Oh, that's
The
right.
men's restroom doesn't get.
No.
Yeah, that's right. Men's restroom is a public restroom, so that would not. And the other women's restroom by the stairwell, the stairs is a public restroom.
Just
The only one
doesn't
that's
raise-
private is the one that's
This one.
over here.
And that one has a fob,
No, it does not.
Oh.
It has a key.
has a key.
Right.
Can you get in there fast enough?
I guess I
Plan
think,
ahead, yeah.
Bjorn, we just need to get some additional information, costs, et cetera, before we make any decisions.
Yeah, I'd like a number on how many doors actually really need it, and then what kind of panel we need.
Driver's license, engineers.
Well, let's just get count and. Driver's license, oh, you're talking to other drivers,
I'm talking-
driver.
Yeah, so the driver's license I had, so there's,
Does he want one?
well, I'm just saying, if you're gonna do this, this is what we've always talked about, is let's do the entire courthouse at this time. Instead of, when you put these panels in, it's more expensive. So if this is what the direction of the board is,
That's what I said, I don't know what the vision was to start with.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I can't say it's before my time, but I wasn't involved in that.
Yeah, get a number count. That's what I guess. then we can decide if we're gonna do one door or 10 doors.
If it costs 3,000 to do each door, then it doesn't make sense to do more. But if we get some, it comes down with doing 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever it is.
Well, that'd be a lot cheaper at 70. If we did 10 doors at 3,000, that's it.
This is true,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that, the 70 may have included basement stuff at that time.
Oh.
I don't remember.
Let's get a new number.
There's
Lauren, and
offices
see where
now.
we're at.
Somewhere in my mind, at
Courthouse.
the security meetings, I'm thinking it was like 30 or 40 to get another 8 panel or something, but
I don't
I'd have to
remember.
look through the notes, so.
So Marty has ordered a new closure for that? Or do you know?
Your guess is as good as mine.
That
It's
would probably
been,
be
it's been
enough.
sent through as a work order,
Okay.
along with other things, so.
Okay.
So.
I think you have one of those laying around.
But this, I mean, I want to make it clear that I need this, I want this, I want it to happen.
Mhm.
Now, we're getting close to fiscal year end, so that $10,000 is just sitting in my budget yet. I don't want to see it to go to waste, so to speak. It's not waste, but I mean, if this is not going to happen, then I'm going to use that money to put a fob in my door.
And we'll have to give you permission to do that.
To some extent, yes, it
Yes,
has to
we
be
will.
agreed upon. Of course, I would want it to be agreed upon, but we need it. So, okay, so will we reevaluate this at the next meeting? Because we still have one more meeting.
Soon as we get some more information.
I'll get hold of Mike right here today. They're trying to. We just got a grandbaby, so I'm not sure if he's in or not, but
And we have one more meeting before fiscal year end, correct?
The 29th.
Yes. Okay,
But we were trying not to do any handwritten warrants or claims. I'm trying to get this line drawn so we can see if, I mean, we're trying to make today the final. I mean, I'm trying to get this line drawn to see if we can do a transfer next week. So this is a very tough time frame because Shelley and I are gonna look at this next.
I understand what
Monday.
you're saying about the end of the year. I get it. But again, if it comes within the next month or two, then you still have it in your budget for next year.
correct.
So you
Correct.
got the $3,000. So either way, it can be done. Possible. Depending on the vote, if we agree to it.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Okay, Becky.
Do you want to?
You guys are talking about doors, right?
Yeah.
Doors.
Well, I guess if that's okay with Jack,
However you guys want to do it.
it's up to Jack.
Well, Becky is on the agenda.
Yep.
Brent isn't, so we'll
Yep.
have Becky first.
Good morning.
Good morning. That should be a little easier. So I sent out a policy last night. We had briefly discussed the maintenance department clothing allowance that they get every year.
Yep.
This is just the highlighted section. I did admit that in error, that what happens with new employees. So currently, the maintenance staff is allowed 5 uniform shirts per fiscal year, and then we give them $250 per fiscal year to purchase other necessary items. During the budget session, we had talked about going to a $300 a year stipend for full-time maintenance staff. Prior, we had given 50% to part-time, so I drafted this policy around $150 stipend to part-time employees with the addition of the 5 uniform shirts upon hire. So we would give new employees the 5 uniform shirts that are logoed. They would remain property of Jackson County. If they left, they would need to return those back to us so they're not floating out in the county somewhere. And then we would give them a full-time staff person, $300 to spend on other things upon hire and each fiscal year thereafter, and $150 for part-time maintenance staff. Right now, we reimburse them when they bring receipts to us. I was visiting with the sheriff's department. They're going to get away from that. They're going to go back to the stipend, which we had done years ago. In order to do that, we just needed some sort of policy in place as to what you expect for that stipend. This is a very minimal policy.
It's kind of hard with the maintenance staff, what you expect out of them. It basically says as long as you're presentable, no holes, no tears. They're gonna be dirty, they're gonna have paint. There's not a lot to work
Yeah.
around that. So this was, I don't know, this is an initial.
So this is
stab
not
at
a
this.
uniform, this is shirts that we purchase and they're expected to wear, or, I mean, I don't see them wearing a
Uniform.
logo.
And I
shirt.
think we tried that years ago where we did like secondary roads had Intermark or whatever, and that it's very expensive and I don't know that it's cost effective for all of our maintenance staff. So basically this is, we're gonna give you 5 shirts and then you maintain what other.
But they are the same shirt, they're basically a uniform shirt.
Right
It's
now,
a
they've kind
polo
of,
shirt, isn't it? That they have?
they have purchased some of those.
Yeah,
It can be whatever you want it to
that's the
be.
only thing I'd ever seen Marty wear.
Yeah, and I think he just chose those. When we hired the new maintenance guy, I got him a couple long sleeve shirts, a couple short sleeve shirts, and a couple of sweatshirts, and I just had them heat seal the Jackson County on there. The embroidery is a little more expensive. I don't know that it's necessary, but that's kind of what they've done in the past is the embroider logos. So we could provide the 5 shirts, whatever you want that to be. And then they can use the $300 to purchase.
And you're not specifying what the money could be spent.
Not unless you want to go deeper into it. The sheriff's department is easy because they have code requirements to follow and they have dress code. Our maintenance staff doesn't necessarily have that. So unless you want to dictate that they wear khaki shorts or blue jeans, I don't know. This might be an initial stab at getting something on the books. Which we can always enhance upon it. I'm gonna do the sheriff's department. They're gonna get their stipends the first paycheck in July. So if we follow suit with that, they would get a taxed, non-IFRS, but income tax stipend in July. Opposed to us dealing around with receipts and reimbursing them for clothing apparel.
I
So
think that's the smartest way to go.
it's easier, it's cleaner, it's less hassle,
You can make this as complicated as you want, you know,
Yeah.
but I think.
but
just
then
make it-
somebody's got to enforce it and make sure they're
I
following
certainly
it.
think that our maintenance personnel need to look somewhat professional.
And I think this touches upon that.
I mean, whether they wear a button-down shirt or a polo shirt, I don't have a preference, I guess, but the point is, whatever they're most comfortable with. I know Marty one time had them shirts and he said he hated it if they were cotton or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I think that they used to have some kind of type uniform. Like you said.
Just basically be presentable.
Be nice.
So if this is the simplest way to do it and it's not costing us any money or even less money. I'm completely okay with it.
All right, motion to approve the maintenance work goals presentation and allowance policy as presented.
So moved.
In a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
That was actually all that I had prepared to present today. We did get the work comp renewal and it is down. Our modification factors look good, so I will be on the agenda next week to present that. Also have a couple of service contracts that we have to do, actuarial studies required by state audit that I'll have contracts for. It's GASB 75 reporting required. I have Nyhart, who we've contracted with in past drafting those. So I'll bring those in next week too. So, but this is all I had. Okay. All right, thank you.
Hey, Brent. Now we're joined by Frank Kilmer, our sheriff.
So I just heard rumor there was discussion about the door over there, and that's kind of why I thought I'd jump in after I went in there. I hadn't been asked anything officially, but I just heard rumor that, you know, you guys were wondering if there's another way we could do that, so I've been kind of emailing back and forth with Bjorn. You know, we could do it with a key. The other thing I thought we could do is like a push button, like for your garage door thing. The only thing is you gotta remember to lock it, then have to go through it. The problem with the key is a lot of times we're responding in an emergency, kind of trying to run out the door. I wish I'd known before that maybe we wouldn't do the, excuse me, the fobs. Because then we could add a push bar or something to go out the door anyway. Because a lot of times we'll run into the courthouse or we're trying to run to our squads and get somewhere quickly. So that would be the only thing, my only concern, but yeah, we can work it out however. So that's why I thought I'd piggyback on that conversation, but it sounds like you guys are considering more now or something, so. Depending on how many costs and everything, and So anyway,
So if we did a bigger panel, that also could include
It's
the
not gonna
sheriff.
help Jim.
No,
It's a totally different building.
That's
So
what I figured.
just- it won't- If we got a bigger panel here, it wouldn't. That wouldn't benefit him at all.
and I looked at the door this morning and I texted Marty, but I haven't heard back yet. So the jam in the door is to the outside now, so we'd have to reverse the door if we wanted to try to do a push bar thing or something. So I'm like, I don't know if we want to. They can go through all that or not, I don't know. So anyway, that's,
How is the counter and the other inside door coming along, by the way?
well, the inside door is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The kind of holding door at the lobby, the short little lobby we're creating, otherwise, he's got it kind of drywalled, we're missing the glass yet, I mean, so there's progress. You know, so I think we're, I don't know what the final. I'm assuming there's some metal framing, maybe he's got to put in there for the glass. And then,
And you got that made, yeah.
and I think we're waiting on the, the fob deal, or what are we gonna do about the locking mechanism? And it's a heavy solid wood door. So like you said, at a minimum, the push bar would be nice for us, that we can just push the door and go out and latch behind us.
That would make more sense. Yeah.
Because we did talk about, I asked Bjorn if there's any kind of remote system where even the two office ladies could maybe hit the remote to let someone through. If they're coming in, so they don't have to get up each time and go open the door for somebody to come in. But that would tie into the same system, so I don't think we're saving anything. So then at that point, then I'd almost think we do the push button and code thing. You just gotta remember to lock the door behind you. And
I think some of them lock automatically though, too, don't they?
Like
Every time they
the one
shut-
that goes back to the jail, it locks automatically.
but isn't that the same push button deal?
It's push button on both sides.
But isn't that set up to that box? That you, oh, that's not.
That's just a separate handle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
So
realize
that
that's what
goes
you
to the
meant.
Sally port and then back to the jail, and then Marty has one down in his office.
So it's just a magnetic.
Yeah, it's just a door lock like a house. You can push the button.
Yeah, it's a commercial
And
one.
you can unlock it on the inside.
So what are they-
Well, that wouldn't be too bad then.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to push the number to get out, but
Yeah, because it's got a fob,
But
but
they
then the push
have-
button, and I always use the buttons just so I remember what the
there's
buttons
a fob
are.
on there.
Yeah, if I had to get in my house, I wouldn't know what the number is. The one on the inside, just a turn knob. It's not a button on the inside. It's not a number combo on the inside. It's a turn knob.
No, it's.
It's
Well,
number
your house,
house.
but at the jail, I'm saying right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta have the code to get in or out at the jail.
but you could have one with a code on the outside to get it. But then instead of a push bar.
Yeah, I
Could you
just,
do a push
it's a
button,
tap
like we're at Karen's desk or something?
well, that's what I was
Six
asking.
times
about.
would come and you could hit
I
it.
would go into into the system, the
Yeah.
bus system, so.
So that wouldn't save us anything, because I thought of that too. I thought, well, even if we had two remotes in the building, the girls could have them.
The only issue with the residential one is when you push the code, maybe yours is different than mine, it stays unlocked.
Right, and that's what I was saying, you just gotta remember to lock it then.
Whereas on the one that's on the jail, as soon as the door shuts, it's locked.
But I wasn't thinking, I thought that
That
was
was-
fobbed into the box.
That's been there long before the fobs,
Yeah, so I mean, to punch three numbers,
right? Or you can do two, I mean, it's whatever you want to set it to.
yeah. Yeah, as long as we keep that code,
And you can always, change it easy enough if you like.
yeah, we may end up changing it.
Well, and the point is, hopefully we won't be there for extended periods of time, that we can do something minimal and be safe about it. I mean, so you guys are secured about it, I guess. Before we had nothing, so. I mean, at least we have a door now, it might slow them down.
Right, right. And then the next part I was just gonna talk about is probably what Shelley's walking in here for, or related to that,
That's updated.
if we're ready to move on from that.
I'm done. I've already approved, so you're in. Bill.
Oh.
So you're in. So what's going on?
So, I got your call this morning, so I come in and I call this salesman again. Apparently the sales lady that they've been working through over there, Chief Deputy Crocker, broke her ankle, so then she's been out. And so he's had to transfer to a new salesman. Nobody could see the stuff she had. So anyway, I thought he was getting this settled last week yet, but then we've been calling and nobody will send us the stuff, and I don't know what's going on. So I tried and left him a message this morning, two times actually, right after 8 o'clock. And I was on my way over to say I can't reach them. They're supposed to call me back. Then I went back and Googled the company, called the 800 number, and some poor sap answered the phone. And I kind of gave him an earful about I've never worked harder about trying to spend $50,000. And anyway, he found the quote and he said, I'll email it to you. You can digitally sign it and then it'll be done. And I'm like, what is the problem
Yeah,
with this company?
yeah.
If we weren't already using them, I'd have told him I'm gonna go somewhere else, but, so apparently he's got this quote, that's probably in my email now that I can digitally sign and it should be good. So I was hoping I wasn't gonna be too late, but. So I stopped over, I left and told Shelley that and came back and told her what the number was and stuff, so she said she had to get it in some kind of paperwork.
You need that warrant approved. Basically, you need that approved today.
Yeah,
Well, or you gotta do a handwritten one next week.
Well, that's, so Shelley, what's your preference?
Include them today.
So I've already been on, we've already approved the claims for
Okay.
700.
Well, then approve.
Can't we approve a handwritten warrant today?
Yeah.
In addition to the claims listing?
Why
that
can't
we
we
all-
amend, why can't we amend?
Yes.
Let's just amend the motion
Yes, to include the.
to include this, it's for $50,200. And it's to United Tactical Systems.
So you want us to
Nope, I just
amend
said that wrong.
the motion that was made
Watch
approving the claims to add $50,200 to that amount?
So now the new total for claims is $781,030.74.
So I would make a motion to rescind the approval of the claims from their earlier meeting.
Second that.
Okay, you've rescinded the claim approval that we made earlier during Lisa's portion of the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Now we need a motion to approve the new amount of $781,030.74.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks for your follow-up with that.
sorry, sometimes if you want something done, you gotta do it yourself. A little sideways with somebody.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so this is the new claims. receipt. I'll have you re-sign, so we have that also.
Okay. Finished with that?
Yeah. Thank you.
This time we'll be joined by Lynn Bopes, Jackson County Coordinator of Mental Health Services.
Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'm here to follow up on the region's monthly governing board meeting for the month of June. Jack and I participated that. It was a virtual meeting, probably for the last time for the board members at least, and management team. I think we're going to go back to in person for the month of July. Just a few highlights regarding, we've been paying attention to a projected fund balance at the end of this current fiscal year. So after financial information through May 31st, David Farmer, the region's fiscal agent, has a projected fund balance of 48% for the region. That is not of any particular consequence this fiscal year. However, it will become a serious consideration at the end of the next fiscal year when the state has ordered the regions to have a fund balance at or below 40%. Or else face some consequences to that. So regarding revenue for the region anticipated for fiscal year 2022, we will receive almost $2 million more in revenue with the new funding formula, which will be shared between county property tax dollars and then some state monies. So in addition to being at 48% or having a comfortable amount, certainly in our fund balance, we will actually have more revenue. However, with some decisions that the board has made and some needs that the region has had to implement, we will certainly strive to get at that 40% or below. One of the things that the board discussed yesterday and gave approval for Robert Young to submit an amendment to their contract for FY22. The amendment would include specifically their ability to provide the staff person under that crisis system contract to serve as a children's coordinator. So that will at least address that need that the region has.
And that's a really important, I think it's a great idea because they're involved with everything. They know all the providers of
Mhm.
services. They can jump right in and start.
Yeah, so I think that will prove to be beneficial. Also, some of the expenses with the region's crisis contract, I think currently we're at about 18% below the projected expenditure year to date through May 31st for that contract. And some of that, well, primarily it's based on lack of staffing, that the positions weren't all filled throughout the entire year. It is obviously an issue with them as well as it is with pretty much everybody else around.
So do they need the staffing? I mean,
Actually,
we talked about before, we need to get the fund balance where it needs to be, and I appreciate if you can use it for the purposes going forward, but to go out and spend money or to hire somebody, there's gotta be a logical reason for,
we need the staff.
okay.
A couple of positions are still not filled. For example, in Jackson County, at one time when the crisis system really was being fully implemented, we had a full-time community care coordinator housed out of Hillcrest and employed by Hillcrest. Dan left that position last August, and he was busy full-time at Hillcrest because he was able to do some other work through their integrated health program, a need that they had for staffing hours. But the usage of the crisis system had kind of diminished a little bit. COVID kept more people in, less people were calling. We're seeing a ramp up of the use of the crisis system across the 5 counties. And in Jackson County, for example, how that care coordinator position was then covered was by an existing full-time person to the crisis system who was already assigned to Muscatine and Cedar. So now she is serving Muscatine, Cedar, and Jackson. And our usage of mobile crisis outreach has increased. We had 4 calls in May, which is for Jackson, a pretty high number. Most of those calls, I think 3 out of 4 of them probably came from our jail. I think I mentioned that maybe last month that law enforcement the jail in particular was beginning to see the value of that. Telehealth, which is that access through computer technology to a mental health professional for somebody who presents in the emergency room here at Jackson County Regional Health Center. We had 6 telehealth uses in the month of May. That too is a pretty high number for us. I think we might have had one month in the past where we had 7. So when those calls increase, the demand for this community care coordinator increases also because that is part of that continuum. Not 100% of the people that access those crisis systems in that manner want the services to be followed up by a care coordinator, but there are more people requesting to have care coordinator services. That's that person that once an individual has presented in a crisis and the crisis has been resolved, it's important to have somebody there to help them link them up with the resources in the community so the crisis doesn't reoccur or they just don't remain in kind of a condition that isn't the healthiest for them. So that's the role of that care coordinator. So the more usage of these other aspects of the crisis system, the more demand there is on this crisis care coordinator. So that's an example of an expense that didn't happen in FY21 fully for the crisis system, yet the demand is there because now this one individual covering Muscatine, Cedar, and Jackson is covering a lot of territory with higher demand. And it's just not possible to do as good of a job when you have to spread yourself that thin.
Well, it certainly needs somebody to facilitate a smoother transition back
Right.
into the society or back into the working
Mhm.
field or wherever it may be,
Right.
and family or whatever it might be to have a.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is that the
Yeah.
person needs. There's 3 other expensive services that the region is required to have in place and we don't. 2 of them are related to kids. They are all 3 related to crisis stabilization. For both kids and adults, we need to identify a provider that's available to do crisis stabilization in the community. So a kid or an adult presents in a crisis, they need help, but they don't have to necessarily go to the hospital or a subacute bed, but they need something, again, a 3 to 5 day short-term intervention by a mental health professional. So we need those two services for both adults and children. And then also for adults, we need, for kids, we need community-based residential services for crisis. So currently for the adults, Vera French runs a house in Davenport. That is a crisis stabilization house, 5 beds, short-term stay. We need that same kind of setting available to kids. So that's another area where the expenses for the crisis system will increase out of demand or requirement to have services available. 2 things that the board approved yesterday were memorandum of understandings for the crisis system for our region to contract with the East Central region, which is a 9-county region encompassing Johnson and over to Buchanan County for subacute beds. So that's for somebody who is in a crisis but doesn't need to be in a hospital, but needs some kind of supervision and safety. Generally, a length of stay is up to 10 days. They have a facility like that in Cedar Rapids, and then also an access center. We have to have either one in our region or access to one. An access center was a service that was included in legislation 2 years ago, I think it was, thereabouts, when they added some additional core services. They said there needed to be 6 of them in the state. So it was not the expectation that all 14 regions would have one. They really didn't even have standards set about how close they had to be to everybody in the state. So we have 2 of them, one in Johnson and one in Iowa City and one in Cedar Rapids. So we're contracting for that service with the East Central region as well, because that too is a very costly program to put up, because you have to have, it's very prescriptive and code about what levels of credentialing staff you have to have available, and it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week, every day of the year kind of program. So that's where some of the additional money will need to be spent. Anything else on that, Jack, that you can think of? CARES Act dollars. It looks like when all is said and done, we will be sending back, we meaning the region, about $21,000 back to the state to apparently possibly reallocate. We distributed about $2.8 million. So thanks to the governing board for sitting through some lengthy meetings, reviewing a number of applications. I think we had 4 rounds of applications. So I think to come within $21,000 of a 2.8 million, 2.9 million.
Pretty small percentage.
Yeah. One of the topics of conversation that came up yesterday was a concern that was brought to the board by Clinton County, by Jim Irwin. And it has to do with the concern Clinton County has and shared by other counties, the challenge of when somebody gets released from jail, if they're on medications. And of course, our emphasis, our concern is primarily with psychiatric medications. The person leaving jail often leaves without any meds or with maybe only a 3-day supply, but they can't get into a prescriber typically in very quickly after they leave the jail. So if you have somebody who has been compliant with their meds in jail and wants to remain on the medications, it's very possible they'll leave jail but not have access to getting those meds. So I think we'll try to pull together a meeting of the jails in the county. 3 of the jails do contract with ACH, Clinton, Muscatine, and Cedar. And Scott County has their own contract with local providers just because of the size of the jail. They've had that in place for quite some time. So talking, and then we'll of course include Jackson County Jail, about how big of a problem is that and what kind of ideas are there out there to help resolve that concern. So we'll see where that conversation goes. I just wanted to make the board aware that with some of the CARES Act dollars, there will be a mental health first aid training class available to the community here in Jackson County. It's going to be up at the community college on July 6th. Maximum attendees are 20, and I think we have 15 registered so far. So I'm going to put one ad in the paper, and I'm hopeful that we can fill it up to the 20. So, and there will be, I think it's 6 people from the jail participating in that. So.
That's
it's a
good to
step.
have that background there.
Yeah,
Knowledge.
yeah, that request actually about that particular training came from the jail, came from Andrew. Would there be one available? Where would it be? And he will still want to send, I think, some of his other jailers, he'll probably have to send them outside the county if they want to get access to it, but we were able to coordinate one in pretty quick fashion using these monies.
Well, I was just thrilled that our sheriff's department is finally getting some additional assistance on mental health.
Well, our representation was pretty minimal. We used to go to Davenport to them big meetings and, I mean, there was other departments there, but they were represented, I should say.
Yeah, I would say they're fully engaged. Jenica Picius is a licensed independent social worker with really good experience in both the jail setting, the law enforcement setting, and her own mental health professional field. And so she has been the person that Andrew's talked to a couple of times about a challenging situation. And I think it's, and she's very conscientious about following up and making herself available, but she too is getting stretched very thin now. Because apparently when I spoke to her last week, she said pretty much every jail each jail in 5 counties has at least one inmate that is proving to be very challenging and not real easy to come up with some response. So. In jail diversion, it's also, when we move to this new structure with state funding, the state is going to contract with regions, and there are going to be 4 outcome measures they're going to look at with all the regions. And one of the 4 areas they're going to be targeting is jail diversion. Now, what exactly the definition of jail diversion that they're going to use is, I'm not sure, because jail diversion can be a pretty broad term and interpreted and include or not include a number of things. But yeah, they're going to look at jail diversion programming in the mental health region. They're also going to look at improving employment options for people with disabilities, decreasing visits to the emergency room, and increasing usage of mobile crisis outreach. So, but that's all I can think of. Jack, was there anything else?
I'm trying to
it sounds
find,
like you're
I'm trying
saying,
to find the one chart.
Oh, okay.
it sounds like you're saying that the funding going forward seems to be appropriate to where it will fit your needs with the state funding.
It will be definitely an improvement because some of these programs that they're telling us we need to have are costly. Even these contracts with agencies just to be available to do some of this crisis stabilization stuff for kids and adults. It has to be there whether it's used fully or not. So,
Well, in our report from Robert Younglab yesterday, the Eastern Iowa total crisis evaluations this year compared to last year. Last year, we were at about 220, she said. This year, it was as high as 604. And then at the end of, in May, it was 589. So, you know, I think a lot of people with the pandemic and with everything that's going on, they've seen a lot more people in crisis.
Mary Peterson, the person who is involved in is the program manager for the crisis system, feels that that's likely a trend that will continue. And that's, what, you know, we're hearing kind of all over. I was on the radio again this morning about the challenges of people after, even people that were very social and outgoing after they stayed home for about a year or so, the idea of getting back out and feeling comfortable in public settings and larger crowds and stuff. It's an adjustment that nobody was really anticipating would be an adjustment. Everybody's happy to be doing it, but all of a sudden it's not quite as easy to do as was anticipated. So that's what I have. Anything else you think of?
I think that pretty well covered it.
Okay, long meeting, wasn't it?
It was a long.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Was
Thanks,
when
Lynn.
the meeting was over, Ken Beck says, you know, at the end, we have public comment. And he says, did anybody stay the full 2 hours plus? And of course, Vera French did and Todd Novak.
Yeah.
Anything else from boards or commissions?
Well, waste authority meeting yesterday. Scale's got a hole in it, so.
The scale's
No,
got a hole. in it.
Yeah, they've been having some trouble. They've been, of course, it's needed, of course, it's a requirement, so I think you don't want to run down the road overloaded, so. It's 27 years old and of course, the undercarriage is rusted and corroded and maybe could be, but it doesn't match up with anything else that's new in the new platform itself, if you want to call it a platform, the platform itself. So they were talking addition out there, you know, for office space and other needs out there, and they're gonna probably back that off and I need a new scale.
So how many dollars is it?
We're not sure yet. We're gonna get a couple bids. They're working with one company and we thought that we certainly need to work with a couple more and they were gonna contact some of the quarries and the FS
Oh, sure.
people and such and see who they work with and see if we can get some new vendors in. So otherwise, it's been working well out there. They're on track to set records again as far as garbage and our recycling, as we know. Has been,
Steady.
yeah.
Anything else?
Now I'd make a motion to,
I might throw in there the meeting with, okay. For the wet, Camp Courageous. There it is. Lost that completely. But they've got like an area up there, I want to make into a wetland and do like a walkway and stuff out there for the kids to look at. And that's what our meeting is with the waters. Coconut Watershed
I
Authority.
know Lori talked about that, our RC&D meeting last week. She thinks it's a great partnership for the RC&D and Camp Courageous.
Yep.
And everybody's talking about the zip line now at Camp Courageous.
Oh, really? Okay.
They put in, oh, I forget how, I
I
forget
just
how,
heard about that.
how tall it
Yeah.
is and it's,
100 and some
Thursday.
feet, yeah.
oh, it's more, I think it's
Well,
more than that.
Maybe that's the drop or something.
Yeah, it's, and it's $10 to go on it. And I think it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday that it's available. And children have to have an adult with them when they go.
Okay.
But they've been promoting that on KMAQ.
We were at one of those in Alaska. And no, I didn't go on it. Some of our group did. And when you looked up at the mountain where they were coming from, I mean, it was over a mile long, but you came down over the forest and then came into the thing. And I'm just like, oh my
The only time I saw one was when we were on our cruise and it was up on the mountain and it came down into the river, into the ocean.
God. Oh, okay.
So I didn't do it.
There's one over the Royal Gorge too. That's just, I don't know.
Thanks for no thanks. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
I do.
One second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.